Today we're going to do a deep dive into PRP, PRF, what makes them different, and why they just might be the most natural anti-aging option out there. Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm an aesthetic NP from Maryland. Let's talk about it. So PRP stands for platelet-rich plasma, while PRF stands for platelet-rich fibrin. They're very similar. They both come from your own blood. Yes, you yourself are the treatment in this case. So when you come into a clinic, you're gonna have your blood drawn and it's going to go into some test tubes and be spun down in a centrifuge. Think about going on the Gravitron in the summer on the boardwalk and you stand against the wall, it starts spinning and you just get sucked to it, right? So the same thing happens with a centrifuge. As that centrifuge is spinning, depending on the rate that it's spinning at, the liquid part of your blood, which is the plasma, is going to go to the top. The chunky bits or the cells in your blood are going to go to the bottom. So there's that distinct separation between parts and liquid. The liquid is what we're talking about in this case. So why do we care about the plasma part? Because it contains a ton of platelets, and platelets contain growth factors, cytokines, and signaling molecules that stimulate collagen production, cell renewal, and regeneration and healing. So what's the difference between the two? So PRF is kind of like PRP's upgraded cousin, if you will. So PRP, platelet-rich plasma, was the OG in this situation. So it was the first to come out. We draw your blood. That blood goes into a test tube, and in that test tube are some anticoagulation properties, things that cause your blood to ward off clotting, so it will stay in a liquid form for longer. So that plasma, it's spun in the centrifuge, the cells go to the bottom, the plasma is at the top, and that's what's getting injected into the under eyes, into fine lines, wrinkles, getting put on with microneedling. Again, full of growth factors, cytokines, signaling molecules for healing and cell renewal. Then PRF came along, and the difference is that when you draw your blood, it goes into that tube. With PRF, there's no anticoagulation properties, so the blood is free to coagulate or thicken as it wants. Now, why that becomes important is that when you spin it down, again, the cells go to the bottom, the plasma is at the top, but through a process of heating and cooling, it can now become more of a gelatinous liquid, and that fibrin is creating almost like a scaffolding or a fibrin network that's gelatinous and more, it's thicker. So why does that become important? Well, when PRP, the liquid, is injected, those growth factors and cytokines are going to stay in the local area for maybe 24, maybe even 48 hours, and then they're going to go. With PRF and that gelatinous material, those growth factors are going to be trapped in the plasma for longer. So when you inject them, they're going to be working for up to 7 days. So that's a huge difference in terms of the slower release of growth factors, more rejuvenation that can occur over time, and more of a ability for your cells to regenerate. So that's how they're different. But how are they the same, and what does the science say? So studies published in journals like Aesthetic Plastic Surgery and Dermatologic Surgery have shown that PRP and PRF increase those growth factors and cytokines. They stimulate fibroblast activity. And we know that fibroblast activity stimulates collagen and elastin production. So this is going to help thicken the skin, improve texture, improve elasticity, and improve overall collagen in the skin. Of all the regenerative aesthetic treatments that we have, PRP and PRF have been around the longest and do offer the most clinical data to support their use. So how do we use these products? Well, we can typically put it as an add-on to something like microneedling or even a laser treatment. When you already have a wound on the skin that we've created, when we add PRP or PRF to the top of that wound, it's allowed to now penetrate through the skin barrier and further stimulate collagen production within the skin. It's also going to allow for faster healing time, since all of those growth factors and cytokines are coming to the area with white blood cells to help get rid of redness faster, induce skin cell turnover faster, and overall your downtime is going to be less when you use these products. You may have heard of vampire facial. That's how these things were marketed initially when they came out, and we saw all these gory images of Kim Kardashian and like others with blood all over their face. And truly it doesn't look like that when you do it correctly, but the application of PRP or PRF after microneedling or any wounding treatment such as a laser can significantly improve your collagen and reduce your healing time. The second utility would be for under eye rejuvenation. So we can take that PRP or PRF and we can inject it in the under eye hollows. The goal of this is to largely just improve the skin texture, improve crepey skin, thicken the skin there by stimulating collagen production so that the skin is not so thin, transparent, crepey. However, with the induction of PRF Easy Gel, which goes through another cooling and heating step with albumin to even further thicken it, you can also provide a little bit of some improvement in hollowing, so a little bit of volume replacement. Now, I think it's important to educate clients that this volume is not going to be the same volume that you would get with a dermal filler. And for most people, they are great with that. They're not looking for huge volume improvement, but some subtle rejuvenation that also, as an added benefit, will help their skin quality there as well. So the third utility is for hair rejuvenation. Now, the data out there is largely studied on men with androgenic alopecia. Other types of alopecia are not widely studied or reported with the use of PRP or PRF, and a lot of the studies conducted with men and women have less robust information. So take that with a grain of salt. However, the data on men with androgenic alopecia show promising results using PRP and PRF. They are showing improvements in the hair density and the number of hairs that are growing in the treatment area. Now, like with any restoration treatment of the hair, there is going to be maintenance, and that cannot be circumvented. So when you're using PRP or PRF, there is going to be a maintenance profile to this. It's never a one and done. You are going to have to come back to the clinic maybe every 3 months, every 6 months, maybe every 9 months for a repeat treatment to maintain results. And the fourth utility is to speed recovery time with lasers or things that have big downtime in general. So when you apply PRP or PRF post laser treatment, maybe that's something ablative like a complete CO2 resurfacing laser, maybe that's an erbium laser, maybe it's a fractionated laser like Fraxel or Halo. When you put those growth factors and cytokines and white blood cells on the surface, you are going to improve your healing time, decrease your downtime, and get rid of the redness and inflammation faster. Now, where that becomes increasingly important is if you have more melanin in your skin, if you have conditions like melasma, or you produce pigment easily, you do not want inflammation from any wounding treatments. So adding on something like a PRP or a PRF afterwards could be really beneficial at reducing the inflammation so that you do not produce pigment later. Think of this treatment as the ideal for someone who wants the completely natural result, who wants completely natural products, no fillers, no toxins, because with this treatment, you are the treatment. It's coming from your own body. So the risk of any adverse reaction or any type of contraindication are almost zero since it's your own bodily products that are being used. So if you've ever been curious about PRP or PRF and how that might fit into your goals for your skin, you are welcome to schedule a consultation with me and we can talk about the options that might be right for you. So if you found this video helpful, guys, hit like and subscribe. Share this video with a friend who you think might be interested in regenerative medicine. And remember, confidence is crafted, and in this particular case, regeneration comes from within. Bye, guys.